The US dispatching special envoys to Doha for talks to secure more permanent peace in the Middle East. Host Qatar has confirmed that there are no plans for direct talks between the US and Iran. Our Steve Witkoff and Kushner will look at progress of negotiations, which will include the many contentious points, including that of Lebanon. Iran, meanwhile, has denied any planned meeting with the United States, but says it will send an expert delegation to speak with Qatar on the release of frozen funds. The Qatari Foreign Ministry, though, has refuted Iranian claims of the transfer of $6 billion in frozen assets, adding that any release depends on progress made in negotiations. On another point of dispute, Qatar says a de-escalation hotline that has helped contain recent military exchange between the US and Iran in the Strait of Hormuz. Or it is that's Qatar is coordinating with Oman to safeguard commercial shipping with freedom of navigation through the strait, a top priority. I'm joined by Jagruti Dave reporting for CNA from Washington, D.C. Jagruti, Steve Witkoff and Kushner will be in Qatar, not meeting, though, with Iran. What will they be hoping to achieve in these indirect talks?
Yes, it's very difficult to know what both sides really can hope to achieve, given they can't even agree on a statement of the nature of the talks that are set to take place. But we understand from the Qatari Foreign Minister spokesperson that there will be indirect talks, that both sides will not be talking directly, that they will be effectively being mediated by the Qataris in Doha. And this round of talks is I guess you could call them technical talks. This is where the details of that ceasefire almost 2 weeks ago were thrashed out. It was a very vague outline, and now the detail is going to be discussed before it returns to the high-level talks where both sides then hopefully meet to then finalize some sort of resolution. So issues of contention are, of course, Iran's nuclear program, the fate of the Strait of Hormuz, US sanctions. These are some of the key things that are clearly going to be tried to be resolved in these technical level talks. But until both sides meet face to face, in mediated talks, they have clearly been successful in the past via Pakistan, for example, that mediated the last set of talks. But really the hope, I think, here is for some sort of progress to be made from that original ceasefire, with the hope that normal operations can be resumed, particularly in the Strait of Hormuz.
With talks and the deal, in fact, at a fairly precarious, some might consider that Iran, any attack around the Strait of Hormuz would then put the pressure on Washington to negotiate and see that really as leverage in any talks to reach a more lasting peace. How concerned is Washington about that?
I think very concerned. Most observers have said that leverage over the Strait of Hormuz is something that Iran did not have before the war, and now it clearly does. And the US and Iran have accused each other of violating the terms of that ceasefire that was brokered, particularly in the Strait of Hormuz, the US accusing Iran of attacking vessels in its waters. There is clearly a difference of opinion on that memorandum of understanding that was thrashed out. The vague language saying where Iran essentially is saying that it will make arrangements for the passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz over the next 60 days while further talks are taking place. Well, what those arrangements are is not outlined in that memorandum of understanding. And so the US and Iran have different views on what those arrangements are. Iran wants ships to go through its stretch of water. The US prefers an alternative route that's closer to the Omani coastline. So this leverage on the Strait of Hormuz is something that clearly is a point of concern. And you have many talks happening. So you have talks between Iran and Oman on the management of the Strait of Hormuz. You have the Qataris and the Omanis talking about the management of the Strait of Hormuz. Lots of parallel talks clearly taking place to try to resolve the situation and bring the operation on that crucial waterway that accounts for 20% of global traffic of oil back to normal levels.
Thanks. Jagruti Dave reporting for CNA there from Washington, D.C.